Hey guys, welcome to the Something About Tuesdays podcast. I'm your host, Phebe Joi. Join me every other Tuesday for a lighthearted podcast to keep you company while you do your thing. Hey guys, welcome back to Something About Tuesdays, episode 80. I'm your host, Phebe Joi, and hi, hey, and welcome. And you guys, if you have listened the last couple of episodes, then you know my voice has been shot. I've been nasally, I've been scratchy, I've been sick, but listen to me now. Doesn't it sound just a bit better? If you've tuned in the last couple episodes, you know I've been sick and it's affected my voice, but I am feeling much better, but not necessarily easily. Okay, y'all. I feel like these last couple of weeks, life has been lifing, but in a good way. Like I feel like a lot's gone on in the last couple of weeks. When we last chatted, the last episode that I recorded, I think I recorded it a couple Sundays ago. I'm recording again on a Sunday, Easter actually. So happy Easter. I hope yours went well. And I was in the throes of being sick, you guys. I was still very sick. I had a fever. I think I still had the fever that Sunday. Let me just catch you up with just life. So I continued to feel sick Monday. I didn't have my fever anymore. I felt a smidgen, literally like a smidge better Monday, but not much. Tuesday, I went to work. I felt a little better. And then throughout the day, I just felt worse. I was like, oh my goodness, this wasn't good. And then Wednesday, I still woke up just feeling terrible. So finally, this had been since that Friday before. So we're talking Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's now just been days. And I was like, okay, maybe I need to go to the doctor. So I text my mom, and mom's like, go to the doctor. And I was like, okay. And then, y'all, this is how you know that adulting's hard. I was like, hey, Ma, when I call the doctor, like, what do I say? And she's like, tell them everything you told me. Tell them I've got a fever. I've got this. I've got that. And I was like, okay. So I called the doc, got an appointment that day, actually within a couple hours. It was so funny. I'd called around 1:40, and they're like, we have an appointment at 3. And in my brain, I'm like, oh, great, plenty of time. And I was like, perfect, I'll take it. And then I was like, just chilling. I was like, oh my gosh, wait, hey, Ma, can you watch Fee? Okay, I gotta get ready. I have to, because I was not dressed or anything. I hadn't made it hardly out of bed. I was like, I gotta get dressed. I gotta get Fee dressed. I gotta get Fee to Mom's. I gotta make sure I've got her diaper bag ready. And then I gotta go to the doctor. I was like, y'all, like just up and going is it don't happen these days. You just can't really up and go. So I up and went as quickly as I could, and I did make it to my appointment. And y'all, okay, I get to the doctor. I tell them my symptoms, which is fever, headache. I had, of course, my scratchy throat. It wasn't sore, it didn't hurt, it was just scratchy. I had some nasal stuff going on, like my nose was running and it was stuffy a little bit. Not a lot, but it was some. I had tummy issues. Like pretty much anything that would make you feel bad, I had. And so I was like, I've got to have like a strand of COVID or something, or something, like I just know it. So I go in, when you go in and tell them you got symptoms, they're like, okay, put on this mask, which I freely did. I was like, look, I ain't trying to get somebody else sick because this stinks. Like this does not feel good at all. And so I sat and I waited, and they got to see me. And the doctors, the nurse, I guess, first took my blood pressure and was like, okay, great. And I was like, okay. And then the doctor came in, or I think this was the nurse practitioner, and she checked my blood pressure and was like, your blood pressure is really low. She said it's like 80 something over 60 something. How are you feeling? Are you a little lightheaded? I was like, a little, but I've kind of been that way off and on for the last few days. I did feel like I was almost going to pass out the other night. So I drank some orange juice because I haven't been drinking or eating since my stomach's been affected, and I just haven't had a taste for anything, and I just don't feel good. So I haven't really eaten or drinking anything, and I probably am dehydrated and da 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 da. And so she was like, yeah. And so they'd given me the COVID test and the flu test, A, B. I was negative for all of that. Y'all, I'm telling you, it's some unknown strain of something. But she was like, look, you've got something going on, but we just don't know what, and we can't test it here. And your low blood pressure is giving me cause for concern, that maybe you're just dehydrated and you need to, you're just not doing well. I want you to go to the ER. I was like, go to what? What? I got to go to the ER. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I text mom. I was like, hey, they want me to go to the ER. And she's like, okay, I got fee. And so I went to the ER to get fluids. It's kind of what she said. She wanted me to get some fluids and get my blood pressure checked out. And I get to the ER and I explained to them, I'm like, hey, I'm here. My doctor sent me here. I had low blood pressure, was a little lightheaded. So she let me drive on over and they're like, she let you drive. And they're like, that was a choice. I was like, I told her I was fine too. I was like, um, I was like, so that's why I'm here. I told them all my symptoms and they're like, okay. So they put me in the bed, got me hooked up, got me some, IV fluids and asked me other stuff. And they were like, your platelets are low. And I was like, I know, I know. And they're like, okay, as long as you're aware that your platelets are low. And I was a little bit dehydrated. And so, yeah, so I went to the ER and what was a quick trip, a quick check-in with the doctor, which my plan was to go to the doctor. Hopefully they figure out what's going on. They just give me some meds. Like, do I need antibiotics? Like, what do I need? But I think I had so many symptoms that everybody got distracted. Because, oh yeah, I had this one symptom where the roof of my mouth was hurting for like 4 days. Like that Monday, that Tuesday, that Wednesday, and Thursday, the roof of my mouth was hurting. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And so I told them, and no, none of the doctors ever even addressed it or looked at it or anything. And they said they were going to, but I think they just forgot. So I think I just had so many symptoms, they didn't know what to do. And so they gave me fluids and sent me home, right? And y'all, I love doctors, of course. Doctors what help brought my baby here, what helps keep me alive. They're smart people. But at the same time, I spent 5 hours with doctors, and all I got was fluids, right? Still didn't get an answer for what made me sick. And now don't get me wrong, I definitely think I needed those fluids. I definitely believe I was dehydrated. I know for sure I wasn't drinking what I should have. But, it's kind of like, I don't know how much this is going to cost me. And I don't know how much this is worth, all my time, but it's fine. So yeah, and it was fine, like I said. And so that was my ER trip. And then, so that was Wednesday. Thursday, I was still not feeling very well. I think by Friday, though, I did start to feel a little bit better, like a little more myself. And by Saturday, I was like, okay, still feeling a little better. I was able to go to our Holiness series, which I'll talk about later, but I felt well enough to leave the house and same for Sunday. And I think by last Monday, I was like, okay, I'm feeling okay-ish. Like by the time I went back to work that Tuesday, I was like, okay, I'm feeling fine. And I think that was was it this past, when was it? Was it just last week? No, it was it was two Saturdays ago. All right. So yeah, so this that past Tuesday I was able to go to work and it was fine. And so I was like, okay, fantastic, good. And so yeah, that was my experience. All went to the doctor, went to the ER. What else? I had another doctor appointment. This was that Friday after that, actually. And it was to the hand doctor. Okay, so you guys have heard me say that I have carpal tunnel. Well, I don't have carpal tunnel. I think last episode I told you I actually have something called de Quervain's, tendinosis, vitus, something with your tendons, something in your hand, in your thumb wrist veins, okay, and or tendons or something where they're inflamed, and so I finally had my appointment for the actual hand surgeon people, and so I go in. The first guy that sees me, I think he's an intern, and he asks me about my hands, and I tell him, and I say, please don't do the Finkelstein test where you grab my wrist. Just go ahead and take my word for it. It hurts. I was like, I don't want you to do it. And he was like, all right, cool. Does it hurt bad enough to need to that you would be okay with shots today? I was like, yes, sir. Like, I'm here for the shots. I am here to get this taken care of. He's like, all right. So we got the shots ready, and then I waited for the doctor for like another 40 minutes. And the doc came in, very friendly, both of them very friendly. and he, asked about my hands. I told him we're not doing the Finkelstein test. And he was like, all right, let's give you these shots. You guys, when he went to go give me the shots on my wrist, okay, so you would think maybe they would just give me the shots or they'd give me some type of numbing like lidocaine or something on my wrist before they do the shot. You want to know what their method for distracting from the pain? It is to spray cold water on my wrist while he's giving the shot. The nurse next to him or the medical assistant was spraying like had a spray bottle of like cold water and was spraying my wrist while he's giving me the shot. And I think to distract me, and I think it kind of worked. I mean, I definitely still felt it. I was like, but it does kind of, I guess, the cold against your skin with the shot, it just kind of, you don't know exactly where maybe the pain's coming from. So it is distracting. So he did it in both my wrist. It wasn't, it didn't feel good. I'll say that, but it doesn't last very long. So he was like, okay, here's, your shots. You can wear these braces if you'd like to wear them. And I was like, okay, awesome, great, thank you. And so the nurse, medical assistant, put them braces on. I don't think she put them on right, y'all, because my hands were hurting so 10 times worse, which the doc did say they might hurt worse for the first 24 to 48 hours. But I'm telling you what, with the braces, I feel like it was worse. So when I got home, I took them off. But I did get the shots. He said within 2 to 3 weeks, I should start feeling, kind of like new. And if in 4 weeks I'm still not feeling good, to come back and they'll give me another shot. So I am about a week out, a week this past Friday. I do feel better. I still get pain in my wrist and hands and stuff. Um, but I do think it's a little bit better. So I'm hoping in the next week or two, I'll really feel a difference and feel really good about that. So that's getting taken care of. Woohoo! So yeah, yay for that. So that's all y'all. That's all my health and doctor stuff. Okay. Like I said, plenty of doctor's visits and things. Random trip to the ER is what it is. All right. So, but other life things has happened. My daughter, my stepdaughter, my original, my first daughter, Sid had her 22nd birthday. Woohoo! And so Fee got her first little mini road trip. Sid lives about an hour and 20 minutes away from us. And so we went down to go visit her and have dinner. And we went to this nice Japanese restaurant. And it was lovely. And Sid loved to see her kid sister. She held her. We got to go back to Sid's place where her and her husband live. And they have this brand new apartment, nice, expensive, fancy apartment. And I mean, it was very nice, you all. And we got to enjoy time with her there, and she got to hold Fee and cuddle with her. And it was so cute. I love the fact that they got to be together. And that Sid was so excited to see her baby sister because you guys, they are 22 years apart, right? Like, oh my goodness. But I'm excited for the fact that she was excited to see her. And she was like, you got to bring her back down to me. Like, we got to do this again. And I was like, definitely. We definitely do. But Fee did fantastic on the trip down. She slept pretty much the whole way there. On the way back, she slept pretty much the whole way back, which is great. One thing I have discovered is that when we're driving, she definitely prefers driving in the daylight, and at nighttime, she doesn't like not being able to see. That's something new that I think I'm like, in the last like couple weeks, she doesn't like not being able to see. Like if she's awake, she wants to be able to see, and she'll cry if she can't see anything. If she's like, "Hey," even if she knows I'm right there, I'm like holding her, and she's like, "Hey," So just a little bit of light makes her feel a little bit better. But anywho, so she did well on the trip. We love that. Happy birthday to my Sitta. I can't believe you're 22 and doing well. So that went fantastic. Now, um, so this past week, we had at school our school talent show. Now, it's been a while since we've had a talent show. We've definitely had them before in the past, but it's been a few years. And so we had our school talent show. And let me just say, y'all, I love kids' talents. They are just, because one, sometimes they really are talented. Like there were a couple of acts, like there were some girls who were doing gymnastics. They really were doing some good flips and they did the splits and they had their own little choreography. It was really good. There are some good singers. And you guys, I got to tell you about one little guy who was singing. So, being that this is a talent show, obviously we have quite a few singers. We had singers, we had dancers. We had, like, I think, a rapper. We had all the things. Most of the time, the songs are just regular secular songs. Not necessarily bad or good in any way, just secular. And, songs that most people knew. Well, there was one little guy who got up and he sang "This Is Amazing Grace." I think, Phil Wickham, maybe. "This is Amazing Grace," if you know it. Da-na-na-na-na-na. He sang that, and it was so funny. Well, y'all, it was great and kind of like, oh, at the same time, because the other songs, all the kids would join in because they all knew it. He sang this one, and he, poor thing, had to sing it by himself because either others were scared to sing it with him because it is a Christian song, or nobody knew it. And I was like, wow. Like, one, I was so proud of how brave he was to sing this Christian song in front of his entire school. I mean, the song talked about Savior and said the name of Jesus. And I was like, that is fantastic. I'm so proud of him. And then the fact that, like, nobody else sang along. I was like, wow. Like, nobody knows this song. Like, nobody's heard of this Christian song at all. You guys, that speaks to something. That says something. But I was very proud of him. I haven't found him yet to be like, "You did wonderful," but if I do see him, I will be like, "You did wonderful. I'm so proud of you. Love the song." Give him all the kudos. But really, all the kids did fantastic. But one of the acts, you guys, I think I've said that word like 5 times. Anyway, fantastic. One of the acts was, and this is, I think, at the last talent show, we also had a kid who did a very similar thing, and that is comedy. It cracks me up when a kid does comedy. And he did. And y'all, I wish I could remember all the jokes that he did, but I gotta tell you a couple of them. A lot of them went over the kids' heads, but and one of them almost went over mine. Okay, he told this one. He said, "Did you know that the picture you take of you, like the picture you take right now, or the picture that you take that's the youngest of you, is also the oldest of you?" And I was like, "What? But do you get it? Take a second. Take a second. Okay, so it took me, like, I don't know, 20 to 30 seconds, and I was like, "What is he talking about?" And then I figured it out, that it's the youngest picture of you, like, when you were a baby, but it's now the oldest picture of you because as you get older, it becomes the oldest picture of you. Like, all the other pictures are more recent than that picture, right? I was like, "Oh my goodness." Like, okay, smart, witty kid. And then he did a joke. He said what was one? One of them, he said, every time you oh, an eraser dies, like, an eraser dies a little bit every time you make a mistake or something like that. I was like, "Oh, no." He said, "What do you get, or what happens? I wonder what happens if you press the acceleration and the brake at the same time." And he did his, dramatic pause, and he was like, "Will it take a screenshot?" Y'all, I laughed at that one. And then he had one where he was like, I wonder, when you're in school, teachers only have to teach one subject, but as a kid, you have to get homework for all the subjects. That doesn't make sense to me. That's not fair." And then the kids were pretty quiet, and one kid goes, "Yeah." And we just all started laughing. I was like, oh my goodness, like, that was cute. And he had a couple of more good ones that were just too cute, too funny. And he had his, like, comedic timing, like his "Did you know?" or "I was wondering." And then I thought, like, it was funny. It was good. I was like, "All right, you got some talent." We had a little drummer who they were like, "This is so and so doing their drum solo that he created." And we're like, "Yeah." And he gets up there, y'all, I'm telling you, it was probably 20 seconds long. It was like, "Da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, da-da." And, like, that was it. And we were like, "Okay." And we all clapped. There was a big pause because we didn't know if he was finished, but he was finished. And then, you guys, we had a little girl who I had in my class from kindergarten and second grade, and I think she's a fifth grader now. My goodness. And her talent was drawing. And she got a big poster, and she brought an apple and set it on a stool, and she drew the picture of the apple to music. You all, I mean, right? Like, who comes up with that? It was creative. It was it was wonderful. Our cheerleaders, they did their cheering and they did better than expected. Like they were doing flips, they were lifting each other up, they were moving with each other lifted, made like a triangle thing. I mean, it was really great. So, yeah, so that was the talent show. Kids' talent shows are always fun. Back in the day, our church used to do a church talent show. And I remember I think I was 11 or 12, and I did the talent show and I sang a song. Old school song. I don't. I found it at the Family Christian Bookstore. I found the cassette tape. Okay, where one side was I think her singing, and the other side was just the music. Okay, right. This is how we used to do it back in the day. And it was called "You Ought to Stop by the Church Sometime," and it was "You ought to stop by the church sometime" or something like that. Stop by the church sometime. Something may be said that could keep you something something. You ought to stop by the church sometime. Dun, 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 right? Like old school. It was old school back then, but I remember singing that in the talent show. And so like a church talent, like why not do a church talent show? That could be interesting. You might find that different people have different things. I don't quite know exactly how it would go, but like you could definitely phrase it as like everybody has a talent for the Lord, right? And you don't always get the opportunity to show it. But maybe if you do a talent show of some kind, then you can kind of see where people's talents lie. And maybe if you ever need that talent, you're now aware, like, oh, so and so can do that. Like, for example, one of our assistant to the pastor, he actually is a fantastic artist, and I would have never known he was an artist until I don't remember what I saw, but I saw something that he had drawn, and I was like, What?" Like, it's just stuff you don't know. So maybe if it's just a talent show or just like a showcasing of people's abilities. Like, I don't know. I think it could be kind of fun. I don't know if it's too corny or cheesy, or if nobody would want to do it, but that sounds kind of fun to me. But anywho, so that was what we had at school. It was great. Loved that, and loved seeing the kids. I thought about going back that night with Fee, but I was like, nah, I'm still keeping her away from people. As sick as I was, my precious baby blessedly did not get my sickness, and I'm like, yes, good, 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 good. I was like, I don't want my baby to be sick. Like, I know it's coming one day. I know it is, but I don't want it to happen anytime soon. Like, you guys, she's been scratching her face lately with her nails that I do trim, but they just grow back so fast. And it kills me. I'm just like, oh my baby. Even though I know one, that she caused it, and two, it's a little scratch, but I'm still like, but that's my baby. And you guys, I do gotta tell y'all. Speaking of feeling a little bit guilty, so my precious baby, we have a little play mat that I lay her on, and she looks at things, and they have little songs. The animals play, the animals play, the animals play all day. Uh-huh. Well, there's this little mirror on there, y'all. Today, I was trying to fix the mirror or switch sides, and she just happened to still be under it, and I thought I hooked it on there, but apparently I did not. And this little mirror, which doesn't even weigh a pound, you guys. It's not heavy at all. It's like flimsy as it can be. It's not even a real mirror. So don't think that. But it fell right on her face. I mean, just plop. And not enough to hurt her. I mean, it's like crinkly, it's like paper. But it fell right on her face. And I quickly moved it and I looked at her. And she looked at me. And then she goes, "Ah," and just started crying. And I was like, I am so sorry. And so I picked her up and held her and pat her. And she wasn't having it for a good 5 minutes. And then she was fine. But which I get it. I was like, that would be scary to have something fall on your face when you least expect it. So hopefully she's not traumatized. I haven't put her back under there yet to see. But we will see. If she is, I will tell you guys. And I'll be like, hey, whatever you do, don't let any of these little things fall on your kids because they will be traumatized. But anywho, so that was a mom guilt moment. Golly. But yeah, so real quick, I just glanced at my notes and I forgot this. So I mentioned that I did the talent show at church, but I also had done a talent show at my school before when I was young in fifth grade. And what I did was my friend and I think it was Chastity and myself, we plucked our violins for the talent show. Yeah, we played our violins, and in fifth grade you only could pluck. You couldn't use the bow until sixth grade, I believe. And so we just plucked away away. And that was my talent. And so, because I was asking my teacher friend who was next to me, and I was like, what would you, if you were in a talent show as a kid, what do you think you would do? She goes, maybe juggle or something. And I was like, what would we do now? And I was like, if there was a talent show right now, what would I do? And I have no idea. I know you would think, well, would you sing? And I'm like, "Ugh," and like, if it was a singing talent show, yes. But I was like, if I had to show a talent, I mean, I guess I would sing, but honestly, I'm not really sure. So I was like, huh, I wonder what I would do. And I'm going to ask you guys that. What would you do if you were in a talent show, or if you have been in a talent show? What did you do in the talent show? Right. And I guess I would sing because I was younger and I sang and I plucked. So I guess music would be my area. But yeah, it was really kind of tough to think about. I was like, what talent do I have? Like, what tangible talents do I have? Like, I definitely think I've got those soft skilled talents, like I'm nice, I'm capable, I am dependable, things like that. But to showcase something, I wonder what I could do. Anywho, so I thought I would ask you all that and be like, if you had to pick a talent, what would your talent be? Either when you were younger or even at present day. Yeah, that was a talent show. That was school. I really, I mean, you all, we're on spring break this week. Next week, I go back full time where I work every day until the end of the school year. Ah, I am not really looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to it because I don't mind my job at all, and it's going to give me a break from what I've done in the last 3 months, which is take care of my fee. Hubs is going to take more of the night shift than normal, because normally I definitely took over the nights so he could work, but now that he's going on paternity leave and I would be the one working, we're kind of going to flip flop our schedules, and so that's going to be interesting. I'll keep you posted with that. That should be fun. But I am curious to see how it's going to go. I do think by my next episode, I would have at least worked a week. I think. Yeah. And so we'll see. We'll see how much I miss my fee. I'm sure I'll miss her a lot. Because when I am home, I do look forward to just being with her and just spending time with her, like being a stay-at-home mom. Like I can't wait until that becomes my reality. But until then, we will keep working. Especially considering you guys this past weekend, yesterday, my husband bought me a new car. Right? Out of nowhere, not out of nowhere, but we did decide to go ahead and get a new car. I was like, I need a bigger car for traveling with Fee. Her stroller takes up so much space. Um, so I was like, I wanted a bigger car just for the kid life. And so I absolutely love my car. I had a Mazda CX-5 in red. I love that car. I honestly could have driven that car 5 more years and been perfectly fine because that's how much I loved it. But I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and get this new car. It's fine. I will love this one as much as my other one. Maybe. You guys, I don't know how dumb it is or sentimental it is, but I really did love my old car. Like it was my dream car and my husband got it for me, right? And so this one, it still is. I got pretty much the same car. I got the Mazda CX-50, so it's a little bit bigger than the CX. I think, yeah, like an inch bigger than the CX-5, but bigger than my 2015 CX-5. So it is a little bigger, it's a hybrid, so apparently it gets more gas mileage, so we're good for that. Um, but I do miss my old car. Like there's something sentimental about it. I'm like, but that was my baby. So now I have a new one, which I did name her already, and her name is Crimson Phoenix. I know you're like Phoenix, and I'm like, I know, but I call her that. She's Phoenix with an I, but Crimson with a Y, because y'all know I love my Ys. So it's Crimsyn, Crimson Phoenix, Phoenix. So not like my Phoenix, which is Phoenyx. But because I call her the rebirth of my car, of my Mazda CX-5. Well, now she's a Mazda CX-50, and like I said, so she's beautiful. She really looks just like my other car, um, just newer, and so I am excited about that. Excited to have my fee in the new car. I'm excited to have a little more space. Hopefully, it's even safer. Just thankful to have been blessed to be able to get a new car, especially before going into, you know, um, stay at momhood, hopefully having a new car with the warranties and things like that, we'll be able to not have to worry about, getting things fixed in the next few years. And so while I'm not working. And so that was, part of the idea and everything. And I am excited about it. I do think it's super cute. What kind of, but no, I was having a conversation today and not everybody names their cars, which I know that, but some people do. So if you have a car, if you feel like it, you can totally DM me and be like, this is the name of my car, or come find me, because I really do want to know names of cars and why you name it that. Like, you've got to have a reason, right? Like, mine is because she's red. It's a red car. So, Crimson. And the Phoenix, the rebirth of my old car, Crimson Phoenix, right? And my old car was called Scarlet. The car before that was is Camille. And that was, I called her, it was Camille because I told her she was good at camouflaging because she was such a smooth drive to me. And I was like, ooh, you're smooth. Nobody can find you. You do exactly what I need you to do. You're like camouflage. And so I called her Camille. So that was my car before Scarlet. And then my very first car, which was an Ivory Gallant. She had two names, her name in the daytime, and then her name in the nighttime. And she was the Ivory Rose, I think at night. And she was the something Ivory Pearl and Ivory Rose, something Pearl, White Pearl and Ivory Rose. No, I wouldn't have called her White. I can't remember her name now, um, but yes, definitely my pearl and white, because that was the color. I for whatever reason I do like to, I guess, put the color in there. And then Cammy, she was like a goldish, whitish, silverish color, depending on the lighting. So yes, that attributed to her name a little bit, or contributed to her name a little bit. So yeah, so those are my car names and the meaning behind them. But if you got a car name, feel free to share. Let me know, and why you named your car. And if you don't name your car, that's perfectly fine. Like, obviously. Not everybody does, even though I feel like, I don't know, you could totally name your car. And then do you call your car she or he? Is every car like a she, like her, like she's a beaut? When you hear people talk about cars, oh, she's a beaut. Are all cars she? I don't know. Anywho, so yes, I did get a new car. So we're gonna have to be a bit more frugal, with everything. But speaking of, okay, so I have this note in here, and I wrote down Starbucks efficiency. So thinking about being efficient and frugal, Starbucks was efficient, and this is what I mean. So I went into Starbucks the other day, because I think it was after a doctor's appointment, and I was like, "Ooh, I've got time. Let me run in there, and grab me some Starbucks before I go back and get fee." You live for those little moments. And when I went in, I was like, "Let me go wash my hands first because I want my hands to be clean before I get." When I tell you guys my food segment, before I get into my food segment, which I think I may have talked about before, but I had it again, so I got to talk about it again. Um, but I went to the bathroom to wash my hands, and in the sink, it was a big wide sink. And if you can picture three kind of faucets, I guess, and the first faucet is the soap, and the second faucet in the middle, of course, is the water, and the third faucet is like the blow dryer for your hands, but it's all over the sink. So you never have to take your wet hands and drip across the floor to get to the dryer. I was like, how efficient, how smart, how hygienic. Like, this was really cool. So you just went from left to right, got your soap, got your water, got your dryer, and all over the big sink. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Go ahead, Starbucks. Like, good job. Now, of course, they weren't efficient because then when I went to go get my drink, my lovely chai latte with oat milk and caramel syrup and drizzle added, um, when I went to go get it, the straws and stuff, which are normally next to the door, were like not next to the door. And I was like, what? You guys? And I had to go all the way across the Starbucks to get my, and I say that like Starbucks are huge. They're not huge. But I had to go all the way across to get my straw and then walk all the way back across out the door. So that part was not efficient. But I got my drink and I got my lovely food segment, which is their cinnamon pull apart muffin things. If you haven't had it, if you've seen it and been tempted, but haven't gotten it, go ahead and get it. It hasn't let me down. This last time was probably the least good it was, but it was still really good. It is this like cinnamon, it's not a cinnamon roll, okay? It's even better. Imagine a cinnamon roll mixed with a croissant. The flakiness of the croissant, okay, with the cinnamon sweet glazedness of the cinnamon roll. and inside a muffin cup. So it's like almost the shape of a muffin. It's in like a muffin cup, but there's little tear parts, like little pull aparts, almost like monkey bread if you've had that. I think that's the little pull apart bread. And you can just pull apart the flaky layers of cinnamon glaze sweetness. You all, it's as good as it sounds. Find you go get you one. Just go get you one. And it is such a good compliment to any warm drink you might have. Maybe even any cold drink. I might have even gotten a cold drink. I think I got, I might not be telling the truth. I may not have gotten my chai latte. I might have gotten my caramel frappuccino. Um, with oat milk. And instead, I can't remember what I got. And I get that iced. But anyway, whichever the drink was, it goes really well with it. I do think it pairs better with the warm drinks because there's just something about it. But y'all, go get you one. Go get it. Go try it. It was fantastic. That's my food segment for that. But anywho, so the last couple of weeks have been kind of church heavy. And if you are a Christian person or, in the faith of any kind, or you celebrate Jesus, then the last couple of weeks are a little heavy, right? We've got Easter, which was today, or Resurrection Sunday, whatever you want to call it. And that went fantastic. I'll get into that in a minute. But our church 2 weeks ago, to kind of prepare ourselves and our hearts for Easter, we did a holiness series on a Wednesday and a Saturday. I had every intention to go that Wednesday, but I was sick. That was one of my days I was sick, I think, and not feeling well. And that was the day I was in the ER, so I wasn't able to go. Um, and so that was that Wednesday for the holiness series. But we did watch online and we listened to that, and it was good. And then that Saturday, we did something that we've never done before, and that was we had like 4 holiness series sessions. And the first 3, we had breaks in between. And then 3 and 4, we just kind of went back to back because we had 2 different speakers. So we voted in not too long ago our new associate pastor, who's our pastor's son. And so he's already, off to a great start. He's already been preaching and stuff, for the last couple of years anyway. But he helped lead this holiness series. And so he did the first 3 sessions. We got little breaks in between. And this was Fee's first off Sunday day. We went on the Saturday. I was so excited. I'm like, this is your first holiness series. You're going to learn how to please the Lord on the inside and outside, right? And so we went to the holiness series. It went great. They were like 30-minute sessions roughly each, and then with a little break in between, like 10 minutes. And then my pastor, he did the last session and got into some more specifics and things. But Fee did great, and it felt good. I really enjoyed having like a just like a church teaching lesson on an off day. I don't know. It was fun. It was like something to do. Like, I'm sure other people, maybe there are people who were like, "Ugh, my Saturday's being taken, da 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 da." But I thought it was kind of fun. I was like, yeah, I love this stuff. I don't know, just casual on a off of a regular of a regular night. You got your Sundays, you got your Wednesdays, you've got rallies, you got special services, but just the more casual events we don't do as often, because usually there's big events. You've got banquets and things, or you've got picnics and stuff. But for just the church to get together and to just, talk about Jesus in a very casual setting was kind of nice. And so I definitely enjoyed that. And so that helped get our hearts prepared. And so then the next step of getting our hearts prepared was communion. And we did that this past Wednesday. And this was Fee's first Wednesday. You guys, I think it was my first Wednesday back since July. Yeah, I know, right? It was my first Wednesday. I was like, oh my goodness, we haven't been back in so long. And so we went to communion, and we had prayer first, and that was great. And Fee did great. And we were able to, take our communion. Of course, not Fee, but we were able to be up there with as a family. And I just gotta say, it felt so good to be up there with my Fee and my hubby. And I was like, look, this is my little family. I'm here with my daughter. Last year, last communion, I didn't have my daughter. I was still mourning Elena. I was still I don't want to say getting over, but I was still trying to get through and get past the grief that I felt, grief, guilt, shame, sadness, all the things. Communion, it did help me. It was such a heart touching time last time. But it was our heart, but it was heart touching this time, but for different reasons. Like last time it was more somber for me, but also, joyous in some ways, but I just had a lot to lay down and give to the Lord, right? And then this time I was just like, God, I'm just thankful. God, I'm just grateful for you. But yeah, I was just like, I can't believe I'm here with my daughter. Y'all, I have a lot of those moments where I'm like, I can't believe I'm here with my daughter. And hey, from communion leading up to Easter from today, I was like, I can't believe I'm here with my daughter. I love this. I love this. I love her. I love my family. I love this, which you guys is so crazy because, in the process of trying to get her, gosh, life was hard. Golly, I did not love it. Golly, I was so sad. I was so sad. And now it's like there's so much love and warmth and appreciation and gratefulness that I feel, that just feels good. And I'm trying to feel it all. So anyway, so yeah, so today was Easter. I was excited to get ready. You guys, I was ready to get ready. I mean, were we on time? No. But I had our outfits ready, and we matched very well. I was like, yes, I'm so glad we pulled it together because I didn't, y'all. Oh, when I planned this the night last night, okay. I was like, I'm gonna look through all her clothes and hopefully she's got a dress to match. Hubs, yep, he's got a suit to match. Okay, he's got a tie, he's got a shirt. Okay, I've got this, I've got that. All right, we made it. Like you guys, and we pulled it together, and I think we looked like pretty good. We were a pretty good looking family at Easter. Um, and so y'all, trying to rush to get there, but we did make it. The praise team sounded awesome, y'all. We did miss the first couple of songs, but we we were able to hear the other two songs, and they sounded great. And I was able to snag my mom. I was like, "Mom, get some pictures, please, of us." And we got some really good pictures. Fee, she was like not wanting to look at the camera at all, which doesn't bother me, but it was kind of funny. Like, come on, Fee, trying to get her attention. Nah, she ain't there yet. But just getting the pictures and just feeling like a little family. And I've been looking at those pictures all day. I've just been going back and being like, this is my little family. Like, this is my daughter. This is a child from my loins, right? I mean, I guess that's something men would say, but like, like this is my baby. And it was exciting. And I was like, I told her, Jesus died for you today, or died. Well, he didn't die today, but he died and came back for you today. He was resurrected. The story would stink if it ended with just him dying, but he didn't just die, he came back. And so I was like, Jesus, he died for your sins. He died for my sins. And he came back and he rose again. And, it was just cute to tell her that. Now, obviously, can she hear it? I mean, yes, she can hear it, but does she understand it? No, but it's so nice to be able to tell her and to get her started. So that was fantastic. We did not do the Easter egg hunt. Why? Because if we would have got any eggs with candy, guess who would have ate the candy? Yeah, moi. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't. No, I wasn't trying to do that. You know why? Look at this. Look at this transition. Because I am trying to try my best to keep with my 90 days. Y'all, I'm 3 weeks in. 3 weeks in. And okay, just as a check-in, here we go. I am caught up to on my devotional. So I've done 21 days of the devotional. Today's 22. I haven't done the devotional today yet, but I hope to before I go to bed. Y'all, it's like 10 o'clock at night. I'm tired. But um hopefully I'll get a chance to do the devotional tonight, but I have caught up. And I say caught up because I have not done it every single day. I've tried, but y'all, when I was sick, there were just days that I missed. Like I was so sick, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't focus enough to do it. But I did make sure that even if a couple days passed, I would go back and read it. I would take the notes and write in my journal, and I would try my best to do it, try my best. And so hey, with the devotional, with the blessed devotional, I have caught up. Um, in fact, there's a couple of things in the devotionals. I mean, since we're just checking in, there were two um parts. First off, there's some really good nuggets. Honestly, I want to do even better with my devotionals. I've been reading the writing, like, the devotional part, and then writing in the reflection journal part. But I really want to incorporate my devotional into my prayer life more, because I've been praying, but I'll admit to you that week that I was sick, it was I prayed, but a lot of the prayers were like, God, help me to feel better. God, I feel so bad. Help me to give me just enough strength to, so they weren't necessarily devotional focused prayers. But I really want to get more in tune with connecting my devotional, which is also my Bible reading, to my prayers. So that's kind of like my next, like, okay, that's what I want to do next. These first 30 days, I'm giving myself a little leeway because I was sick. Like, yeah, I was sick for like a week and a half. Like, you get a break. But as I hopefully start to feel better and get into my next set of 30 days, which I mean, you guys, I'm still a few days away. Obviously, I'm 9 days away, but or 8 days really. But I do want to try to do better at tying in my devotional with my prayer life. But anyway, so I said all that to say there were two nuggets that I wanted to mention, and one of them was he had mentioned how their church had gone through a storm. You go through storms in life. That's the parallel. And they had been through a hurricane. And that first time the hurricane came, I think it was Harvey, is what he said. Um, that it devastated their church. I mean, their church got wiped out. They had to rebuild. While it was rebuilding, they had to meet in an elementary school, I think is where he said they met. Um, but it really shook them, and they really had to figure things out. And it was hard, and it was tough, and it was a season that they had to get through. Well, the next time a hurricane came, I believe it was Ike this time, it was so devastating for the community, but this time they felt more prepared, and they were able to help the community, and they were able to reach out, and they were able to do more outreach and supportive type things, um, more so than the rebuilding and figuring out their own selves, right? And so he was saying how like that first storm prepared them for that second storm, and that the second storm didn't have near the same devastating effects on them, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and all that stuff as the first one did, right? And so I was like, okay, all right, Lord. Like I get that. Like I definitely have been through some storms, and you guys know this whole next season, I'm trying to figure out what to do with that. And I'm like, obviously, I'm like, if this can help anybody, let it help somebody. But if another storm comes, or if something else happens where I can help someone else, or even weather the storm better if I go through the same thing again, then that's a good thing, right? Like if what I've gone through can help support someone else who maybe it's the first time they're going through the storm, then let it be, right? Or if the storm just equips me to be better prepared for future storms in my life, then let it be, right? And so I was like, okay, Lord. And I wrote in my journal, I was like, it's still a little scary to think, like I don't want to go through that kind of storm again. I don't want to go through that sadness and that hurt and that pain again. But maybe if I do, if that is in my future, maybe I will it won't be as devastating, right? Maybe there's some strength in me that I don't even realize I have that will make it an easier burden to carry. I don't know, but that's the hope that I have from reading that devotional. And then the other thing, the second devotional, um, he was talking about, rebuilding your prayer life. Sometimes things have to be torn down and rebuilt back up. And I was like, yes. I said, I want to rebuild my prayer life. And then I said, I want to regrow my prayer life. Because sometimes I think I want to get back. Because I was writing in my notebook, on the reflection part, I was like, I want to get back what I had. But at the same time, I'm like, but I don't want to go backwards. I don't want to get back what I had, because what I had carried me through up until it didn't, and I needed something different. And then I had to pray differently, and I had to seek God differently. And now I'm in a place where I need to refigure out how, to approach God, how to reach God, how to build up my prayer life again. But I don't want to just say I want to get my prayer life back. Like I don't want it back. I want something different. I want something better. I'm willing to regrow it, right? Like I'm willing for it to like grow back in that sense. I just don't want to think of going backward. And so in my brain, I was thinking, okay, like a flower, like literally just a flower. And then let's say the flower wilts and it dies, or it gets small, or it goes through hibernation. It's not dead. It's just like cold. It's winter or whatever, which is what I feel like I've been in. And then now it's like spring's coming and it's going to grow. And that also thinking about it like that, I gave myself a little bit of grace because I was like, okay, things don't always grow fast. Now, there are some growth spurts that happen here and there where you're like, oh, okay, we're going somewhere. Like hopefully this devotional will help kickstart a growth spurt in me. Um, but some things are slow, like the flower may grow slowly but it will still grow into something beautiful. And that's kind of how I'm picturing my relationship with God and my prayer life with God is like, okay, we're doing the little things, trying to pray every day, watering this flower, reading the Bible, doing these things, going to church, being around the sun, right? So that way, this little flower of a relationship and prayer life with God can grow, and not rushing the process because things don't happen overnight, but believing in the process, right? Trusting the process, trusting that if I keep pushing, if I keep watering, even though I don't see growth right away, that it will happen, and that my prayer life will grow into something beautiful. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm like, okay, I don't just want my prayer life back. I want a new prayer life. I want something that is growing from everything that I've been through, and that helps to help it to grow, if that makes sense. So anyway, so that was a thought that I had through the devotional, and yeah, so that's the check in with that. Physically wise, exercise, you guys, I have done well for the most part, walking every day. When I was sick that week, I did not. I'll admit I did not, but I still lost weight. Why? Because I didn't eat for those days. So I did lose some pounds for not eating for like 4 to 5 days straight. But but that's not how I want to lose weight. Especially considering, usually you just gain those pounds right back. Which I have. I've gained, I think, 2 of the pounds back of like the 5 that I lost. But I'm still ahead. I've still lost a little bit of weight. And feeling better physically. A little bit. Now, I'm starting to feel the effects of trying to work out more. Like my leg muscles are kind of like, what are you doing to us again? My little C-section scar area is like, are we sure we want to do this? I don't really know. So yeah, there are aspects of this that aren't quite as fun, and I'm starting to feel the effects of it. But again, it's kind of like the whole trusting the process. Like I look in the mirror and I don't see, much change, right? Ooh, but I will say, y'all, I will say this. I was able to fit into, y'all are like, oh, what? My Louboutin shoes. You're like, shoes? Yes, you guys, these are expensive shoes. I didn't get them for full price. Full price, they're like 900 something dollars. I got them for about half of that off Poshmark. Don't judge me. Everybody has their vice, okay? Everybody has their thing that they're willing to spend a little extra money on. Mine just happen to be shoes. But my feet had gotten swollen and I wasn't able to fit them. Okay. Even after I gave birth, my feet were not able to fit them. Like they grew or they were just swollen, they were bigger, they just couldn't fit them. Y'all, I tried them on this morning. I have 3 pairs. I tried on the pair that I wanted to wear, which is like a flesh tone color. So look, the weight that's coming off maybe on my feet, it may not be around my stomach where I want it to be. It may just be in my feet, but my goodness, I'm excited that at least I get to wear my Louboutins I'm glad that they can fit. I'm glad my feet could fit in them. I was so excited. You guys, I was so excited. I was like, thank God for one, thank God, because these shoes are too expensive to not be able to wear anymore because my feet are too big. But yeah, so I was very excited for that. So the little wins, you guys, the little wins. So that's my check-in with that. With my taking pills, I popped 3 the other day and did well. I'm still between the 2 or 3. My mom came and found me because she listens to the podcast, and she's like, hey, Phoebe, check this out. She had a handful of pills, 13 to be precise, because I counted, vitamins, pills, etc. And she said, watch this. And she tried to show me. She was like, don't put it too up front. Don't put it too far back. Just kind of stick it in a nice good spot. She popped all of them in her mouth, took one swig of water, and they were gone. Y'all. I was like 13 of all different shapes and sizes. What? So that gives me some hope. Okay, if my mom can do it, if she can do 13, then maybe I can do, I think at one time, the most I have to take is, I think 5 at one time. as far as like, like in the morning, 5 in the morning, and I think 3 at night. And so, look, if I could just pop all of them at one time, that would be great. That'll save me time because I do like individually, like take one, swallow it, take another one, swallow it. But if I could just pop them all in there and just be done, I'd be done. But anyway, so that's my quick check-ins with stuff like that. But the next thing I wanted to talk about, I told you it's been a busy last couple of weeks, is my Life with Fee segment. Okay, this one I don't have too much, so I don't want to, bombard you guys with Life with Fee, but Life with Fee. The first thing note that I have is I am getting ahead of myself. And I say that because, y'all, I am looking at stuff that's like, kids eat free on Tuesdays. And I'm like, oh, great. Okay, I need to remember that. Y'all, she is nowhere near to eating, fazoli's, okay? Like she is not to that point where it matters that she can eat free. So I am getting ahead of myself, but I'm like, I'm gonna keep note of that. Like, okay, when she's old enough, we can go there and she can eat free, on this day. So yes, I wrote down, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. But it's still fun. And the other thing I wrote that she is now officially 3 months. She's getting to the point where her weeks and her months they're not aligning anymore. Because if you think about February and how many days are in a month versus other days or whatever, and so she hit 12 weeks last Saturday. So she's 13 weeks as of yesterday, but she was 3 months as of Friday. So she's 3 months or 13 weeks. And I'm just loving her. I'm starting to get, I think I've heard maybe three little giggles from her. I'm like, yay, I cannot wait until she starts laughing and giggling. She is smiling some more meaningful smiles. Like, I do got to like stare her in the eyes and get her attention. But once we like lock eyes and I smile, she'll smile. So that's great. I will say her and her daddy, I mean, she just hears his voice and she's like, smiling. I'm like, little girl, you done been with me all day. And yet you see him and he gets home from work and you're like, Dad. I'm like, come on now. Where's my love? Where's my love? Like your first words better be mama. Okay. It better be mama. And it's so funny because we're all practicing. I'm like, mama, mama. And he's like, daddy, daddy. And my mom's like, Gigi, Gigi. So we're all trying to, get Fee to come up with the words, of course, that we want her to say. She's still babbling, just a babbling. When she's mad, when she's happy, mom, it's so cute. I love it. I love her so much, you guys. I just love her so much. So she is 3 months. And the the kind of last little point I want to make with my Life with Fee is that we got to have another outing. You guys know we went down to go see Sid. That was like our first little mini road trip. Well, now mom and I went to an outlet mall and we were able to walk around and with the stroller. I was able to use the stroller, which I was excited about. Now, of course, the very first store we went into, um, she did have a blowout. I'm trying on clothes and we just hear and she's just grunting away and I'm like, oh boy. And yes, she had her little blowout. And so luckily she was, fine until I was able to like, finish trying on clothes and leaving the store. And then we went to go find a restroom and I was like, we got to find the family bathroom. And so we used the family bathroom and I got to use the baby changing station. You guys, it's the little things. And I got to use that and change her crazy little blowout. And I had the extra clothes. Yeah, we were ready. Because I think she got her onesie a little messy. But I think the rest of her clothes was fine. But we changed her because, I was like, I bring 2 pairs, 2 extra onesies, 2 extra sleepers, 2 extra gowns, another 2 extra blankets. Like y'all, I was like, my diaper bag is full of so much stuff. But anyway, and so we were here to change her, but we had great weather, and just it was fun walking around with her. Mom and I, we went into Carter's, which has baby clothes and just so much cute stuff. And we were like, this is fantastic. And it felt good to be able to walk in and actually have a baby to buy stuff with. You guys, this is stuff that I pictured and wanted for so long. And I'm just It's so great to be living it. It's so great. Um, and so yes, I was very excited to do that with Fee, to go to the outlet and just spend a little, like just a few hours with my mom and Fee and shopping. I mean, what better combination is that? You know, mom, Fee, shopping, food. There's nothing better than that. So that was awesome, and we were able to do that. And that's been my life with Fee. And I'm going to wrap up here. I do have one last segment that I got to share with you guys, and it's I mean it as a comedic, but also like lighthearted, could be serious, but kind of funny, just goofy segment, and it's called "Parenting Parallels." Power preaching. Okay, I didn't know what order I wanted to put in. Parenting parallels together and power preaching together, but all four, like power preaching through parenting parallels. Maybe that's what it is. The PPPP. Okay. Power preaching, parenting parallels. So what it is these are moments that I feel like parallels between the natural world and the spiritual world, between, me being a parent to Fee and God being a parent to me. And so I was like, okay, I had a parenting parallel moment. And the reason I call it power preaching is because these are the things that when I say it, I'm going to need you to be like, come on, somebody, or amen. I'm going to need you to back me up, is what I'm saying. All right now, that's what I hear when I hear these, when I think these things. I hear it, come on now. Um, the come on, something good. So, my first one, the only one. So this is my first segment in my first little power preaching parenting parallel is so at nighttime I'm still working on getting Feed to be in the bassinet and to sleep in the bassinet and to stay in the bassinet. And so I laid her in the bassinet one day. Okay, so this is the parenting parallel. I put her in the bassinet, and while she's in there, she is making noises, you know, she's fidgeting, she's moving, and the whole time I'm thinking like, "Come on, girl, self-regulate." And I start cheering her on like, "Self-regulate, self-regulate," because I'm like, "That's what you need to do." Like, I'm not always gonna be here to regulate yourself for you, right? Like, of course I will always be here, but I'm gonna need you to learn how to self-regulate. And I was like, "I'm gonna need you to learn how to self-soothe and how to get yourself to go to sleep." And I was cheering her on. And I was singing, self regulate, while I was trying to get her in the bassinet. And another time I was trying to do it when I was holding her and she just kept fidgeting and twitching and there starter reflex. And I was like, you want to self regulate. Like, that's what I'm singing to her, all these made up songs. But anyway, so in the bassinet, I'm trying to get her to self-regulate. And I was thinking about like, and I was like, I know at some point I will step in. If she can't get it, I will step in. And so of course, y'all, my preaching point is this, that the Lord sometimes is looking at us and he's saying, I need you to self-regulate. Y'all remember that scripture where he didn't tell, but where David encouraged himself in the Lord? Okay, David self-regulated right there. He was feeling down and he encouraged himself in the Lord, right? So I was like, okay, like, all right, guys, sometimes he's like, I can't always be your cheerleader. I can't always be the one to regulate your emotions. There's going to have to be some time where you learn how to regulate your emotions, your spiritual walk, where you can't be the baby anymore. Now my baby is a baby, so she can be a baby as long as she wants to be a baby. I'm just kidding. But I was like, all right now, come on, somebody, right? Like sometimes God is looking at us and he's cheering us on and being like, please self-regulate. And the longer we go self-regulating, not saying we don't need God, please know the difference, but that we're able to self-regulate, spiritually self-regulate. I bet he's cheering us on. And so that made me laugh. And then I said, "All right, and this is my extra. This is my little this one you get for free type nugget." And I was like, now once she got to the point where she was really struggling and was like, "Bah," and I picked her up, and you know what soothes her? You know what gets her feeling good again and self-regulated? When I feed her. Now, what is that comparison to in the spiritual walk with God? When you get the word of God. Isn't that the bread of life? When we get fed by the word of God. Does that not help us self-regulate? Oh, all right, come on, somebody. So anyway, so that is my power of preaching through parents and parallels. That's it. That's all I have. That's like that's it. It just made me laugh. So anyway, so I say that because you can find connections anywhere. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what, God? You're right. Sometimes we do need to encourage ourselves in the Lord. We do need to go to the Word when we need to regulate ourselves spiritually and emotionally and in every an aspect. We need your Word of God. So anyway, so yeah. So you all, that's about it. That has been my life the last couple of weeks. Like I said, life's been lifing. It's been good. The weather is getting better. It's getting warmer. Like I said, I'm getting out in the weather, getting out with Fee. I'm gonna have to get her a sun hat because I don't want to get her sunburnt. Um, y'all, I'm just excited. I have my new car, just rolling around with my baby and me. Like, y'all, it's good. Spring is going good so far. But that being said, I still have not worked on my national board. I do plan to this week. In fact, this comes out Tuesday. Tuesday, I should be working on my national board, hopefully finishing some things up, getting some final drafts in because y'all, it's due in May. And I need to get this done. But anywho, so all right, you all. Thank you all so much for listening and for tuning in. I never did say I hope your last couple weeks have been good, but I really hope they have. I hope spring has just, you've entered into spring feeling good. If man, sometimes you can get the winter blues and just weather and darkness. And so I'm hoping that as we enter into spring and start feeling spring and feeling the warmth of the sun, that you're feeling that warmth on the inside too. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening and for tuning in. And yeah, I'll catch y'all in a couple weeks.